Okay, so a couple of days ago, one of my viewers emailed me and sent me this thing, and I was like, "Well, what am I looking at?" It's in Danish. It's a treaty signed. I know it's hard to see here when I put this up on the screen, but it was a treaty signed by the Danes. And he's like, everything I do is I'm trying to provide context for you about the war in Ukraine. So, what he was telling me was that hey, you might be interested in this. There was this treaty signed between the Danes and the Americans, and it was years ago, and it helps you understand what was going on with Greenland. Okay, well, I mean, I guess that's interesting. And then, when you connect that to the Monroe Doctrine, and what's the Monroe Doctrine? The Monroe Doctrine is this doctrine that after the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812, during the it's a foreign policy that says, look, Europe, we're not going to come mess in your hemisphere. You stay out of our hemisphere. Everybody will get along. And I think that there's something to the American isolationists have this kind of almost Monroe Doctrine kind of thinking about the world. But the world has shifted some where at World War I and World War II, which are called world wars, we have to think about what's going on in each other's neighborhoods. Like, if we let Ukraine get out of hand, this could become a world war. If China gets out of hand, that could become a world war. So we have to think a little bit larger. But at any rate, the Monroe Doctrine is pivotal in American history. But here's the really interesting thing. This is the Danish about that thing that was sent to me. And I was like, I don't read Danish or whatever. Is there an American version of whatever? And yeah, we tracked it down. Actually, Dennis tracked it down. Dennis from Denmark, who sent this to me originally. Okay, Acting Secretary of State to the President. I just want you to hear what's going on here. Department of State, Washington, August 7, 1916. So a little more than 100 years ago. President, the undersigned, the Acting Secretary of State, has the honor to lay before the President with a view to its transmission to the Senate, if in his judgment approved thereof, to receive the advice and consent of that body for its ratification. That's our process. The Senate has to sign off on treaties made by the President. A convention between the United States and Denmark respecting the secession of Danish West Indian Islands to the United States, signed at New York on August 4th, 1916. So this becomes the U.S. Virgin Islands or something. And the undersigned also has the honor to submit, listen to this, that the government of the United States of America will not object to the Danish government extending their political and economic interests to the whole of Greenland. How about that? So, like, we're talking about, well, we've got to take this Greenland. We've got, all that saber rattling that's done. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I don't think there's going to be any military force or anything. I think my perception is that Trump wants to get some kind of concession. I don't know exactly what, military base, or I don't know what it is. Better way to do this would be to, meet behind closed doors and say, look, how can we help you? Like, we can put a shield up here for you. It'll be good for you, good for us, good for Canada. But that's not the way he's approached it. But nonetheless, when we're talking about the Monroe Doctrine, that is held for a long period of time in our doctrinal understanding of how, we're going to do things. And then they made this agreement back in 1916. So I want to thank Dennis from Denmark, particularly for initially flagging my attention to this and bringing this out to me and showing me what was going on. And but also, I also want to thank you all for being for bringing things to my attention, because I do highlight some of the things that you do. If you're a member or a patron, you can do this in Discord, and I'll make the link available again if you're not familiar with me, and just like put out there in Discord whatever you want to flag to my attention and bring to. So thank you for that, folks. I really appreciate it. This is a team sport. Cooperate to graduate. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.